All right. So if you are new to this channel, you should know that I probably have spent about almost 2 years now just listening to self-improvement content and listening to science-based health improvement content of really just trying to find the ways where us humans can really optimize our life depending on our current life situations and our current lifestyle. And so initially, my channel was just about summarizing podcast episodes from Dr. Andrew Huberman. You might have known him, you may have not, but he is one of the most prevalent figures in this whole health optimization space. And I've spent a good amount of time, or I want to say a very decent amount of time, just purely just consuming his content and synthesizing his most important information into digestible videos that you could watch, because all of his episodes are like hours of long. All of his podcast videos are super long, and so I just try my best to condense those super long podcasts into YouTube summaries. And so in this video, I just want to synthesize every single one of those videos into, well, not every single one of those videos, specifically all of his videos about sleep, into one cohesive summary. And so in today's synthesis summary video, we will be going over how to sleep, and everything that I talk about will be backed up by actual science-based tips that Andrew Huberman talks about in his podcast. And so to start off, we will be talking about light exposure, which is arguably one of the most, if not the most important method that you could use to really optimize your sleep and get the best quality sleep as possible. And so the first thing that Andrew Huberman talks about in every single sleep video that he's ever done is to just get light exposure. Now, what does this mean? This basically just means first thing in the morning, you want to go out and get sunlight. And this is something that is often overlooked because we don't really see sunlight, or like getting morning sunlight, as a priority in life, because normally our mornings are, they're super busy. We have to prepare for work, prepare for school, we have to make breakfast, some of us go work out, so we have a lot of things in the morning. And so getting morning sunlight is something that we don't necessarily put as an urgency, right? And so what we want to do is reframe our lifestyle to prioritize morning sunlight as soon as we wake up. And the reason why we want to do this is because it sets our circadian rhythm. Let me just write that down real quick. All right, so hopefully my handwriting is legible, but essentially the reason why you want to prioritize morning sunlight is because it sets your circadian rhythm. And if you didn't know, your circadian rhythm is pretty much everything when it comes to sleep and how awake you feel and your energy levels throughout the day, because that is what actually determines what makes you fall asleep, or like what times you feel like sleeping and what times you feel the most awake. So by having an optimized circadian clock, you essentially, like, your body will naturally feel sleepy and naturally feel awake and energized when it's supposed to. And so when you have a messed up circadian clock, you will start to have irregular sleep patterns. For example, this is the reason why you still feel sleepy when you wake up in the morning, because when you get morning sunlight into your eyes, it basically just tells your body that it is daytime, it is time to attack the day, and it is time to actually be awake and to be energized. And so this is what actually our body has evolved to do throughout time. Like, our cells literally evolved from the ability to recognize that the morning sunlight, or the bright light from the sun, is what signals to our brain that it's time to be awake and it's time to be focused. And so when you don't get this morning sunlight, that is part of the, or that could contribute to the reason why you always feel groggy, you always feel tired when you wake up in the morning, even though you should be all rested, you should have all of that energy that you acquired during your sleep. And so that is the first step of optimizing your sleep, is just light exposure. And the second is actually temperature regulation. Now, let me just write that down. All right, so the second is temperature regulation. Now, what does this actually mean? In short, you just don't want to sleep in an environment that is too cold, but also in an environment that is too hot. So what you can do is just try and keep everything at room temperature if possible. And there obviously will be times when there's like a heat wave, or it's summertime and it's super hot, or it's winter and it starts snowing or raining and it gets super cold. And so that is the times when you want to try and regulate your temperature so that it falls within that optimal range. And the optimal range is, hold on, sorry, I have my notes right here, so I actually know what to say. But the optimal range that Huberman talks about is around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit and 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. And so some things that you can do to help regulate your body temperature is to take a hot shower beforehand. And it's not the actual shower itself, like the water that makes you fall asleep, or it can, because there are times when you take a hot bath and you start feeling sleepy. But it's also that cooling process afterwards. So after you get out of the shower and your body starts to cool down, it starts to regulate your core body temperature back to what it's supposed to be. And that can actually help you fall asleep. And then also there's the obvious of using an AC if it's too hot, or using a heater if it's too cold. But really the main idea here is that you just want to keep it at a cool but warm enough temperature to where it's comfortable. But basically you just want to keep your core body temperature at its optimal range. And so the third way to improve your sleep is caffeine usage, or being smarter with your caffeine usage. And the reason why you want to be cautious about your caffeine usage is because caffeine actually blocks this hormone called adenosine. And that hormone is responsible for actually building up that sleep pressure that makes you sleepy. And so the main thing that I have been doing, and one of the main things that Andrew Huberman talks about in his videos, is to just completely cut off caffeine usage at a certain time. And generally speaking, you want to keep it around noon. You don't want to go past like evening. And so I'd say you want to cut off caffeine usage at around 2 to 3 p.m. I usually do 2 or 1 p.m. That's just what has been working for me. And this can be troublesome for some people because some people actually might need caffeine later in the day for various reasons, whether it's because they're falling asleep and they need the energy to focus on their work, or cram for an exam the next day, or maybe they are taking some pre-workout before the gym. Like, I get that there are some times when you feel like you need caffeine, but I can assure you that there are much better alternatives to taking caffeine late into the day so that you don't disrupt your sleep. And some ways that I have been approaching this is taking salt-based electrolytes. This is because electrolytes are extremely, extremely good for your energy levels and your focus as well, because it helps with cognitive functions, not just physical performance. So you can take electrolytes before workouts, before doing any sort of like focus work, like homework or business work, or really anything. Having things like coconut water or a salt-based electrolyte like Santa Cruz Paleo are all really good options. That's what I do normally. There's times when I even combine coconut water and salt-based electrolytes. Super good. 10 out of the 10 recommend having um, the lime Santa Cruz Paleo electrolytes with coconut water. That shit is so good. But anyways, getting sidetracked. So you generally just want to cut off caffeine usage at about 2 to 3 p.m. And to just try and have your coffee in before noon. But there's also one other thing. You want to try and delay your caffeine intake about 1 hour after you wake up. That's just something Huberman talks about. I don't necessarily remember why. I'm sorry about that. But that is what he talks about. And because it's coming from Huberman, hey man, by all means, I will follow what you say. So the fourth way is to just regulate your sleep and wake timing. And in other words, this basically just means to keep a consistent sleep schedule. Okay, so keep a consistent sleep and wake schedule. So essentially, you just want to wake up and go to bed at a consistent time. And the reason why you want to do this is going back to what we were talking about earlier, to the light exposure and circadian rhythm, is when you have a like consistent time that you fall asleep and you wake up, your body will then naturally recognize that pattern, and it will just make it so much easier to fall asleep and wake up because your body is used to it. That's what it's going to automatically default to. Because I'm sure you can agree with those times that we try to like stay up late, especially if you're my age, like young, you might have stayed up like past midnight playing video games, scrolling TikToks, or doing whatever it is that you're doing to stay up past midnight. But once you start to get used to staying up late, then your body itself, like your biological systems, will default to staying up late, which will then in turn cause you to wake up earlier, or no, sorry, which will then cause you to wake up later into the day. Like there's times when I've gone to sleep at 3 a.m. and I've woken up at 1 p.m. And that is just because my body grew accustomed to waking up late because I'm going to sleep late. And so once you actually retrain your body and you get used to waking up earlier and going to sleep earlier, it will make that process of actually waking up and falling asleep so much more easier. You are not going to feel groggy in the morning anymore. You are not going to feel tired after a full night's rest. And the process of actually going to sleep, like as soon as you hit the bed, you will just like be knocked out. And it feels so much more better once you actually stick to a consistent sleep schedule. And it's like, this is something that I've been focusing on so much during the summer. Like, I think I have like an average of 8.5 hours of sleep every single night, and just going to bed consistently at 11 p.m. and just waking up at 7 or 8 ish. Like, ever since I started to take that more seriously, my actual energy level completely skyrocketed, and I'm way more like, what's the word? Like, I just feel so much more better about myself because I'm not stressing about sleep anymore. And so that is the fourth step, is to just get consistent sleep. And so the fifth thing that we are going to talk about in the summary is actually the activities that you do before you go to bed. Now, what does this actually entail? And so, believe it or not, but the activities that you do before bed are complete make or break of how good of quality sleep you actually get. For example, your quality of sleep will be tremendously different from if you were to work out before bed or work out in the morning. And so, whether or not working out in the morning is going to be better than working out at night is completely up to you, because again, we all live different lifestyles, we all live different lives, and we all adhere to different schedules. And so you just have to figure out what works best for your body and what you feel best doing. And so try to work out in the morning or try working out at night and just see what feels better. And even experiment with different types of exercise. Maybe you fall asleep better after running, or you fall asleep better after weightlifting. And moving away from exercise also, even just using your phone or screen usage could have a make or break effect on how good of sleep you actually get. Because again, going back to what we were talking about in light usage, your phone and your computer screen is light, is blue light, and you're right next to it. Your screen is literally like a couple inches away from your face, and you are just emitting all of that blue light right into your eyes. And that's again going back to the idea of circadian rhythm. With all that bright light like blinding your face, you are essentially telling your brain that it's daytime again. And that will in turn make you feel like you are super energized, because that's what again your body has evolved to do, is when it see bright lights, it will then signal to the rest of the body to be awake. And that might also be part of the reason why you can't sleep at night, because you're using your phone too much at night. And so just cutting off your phone usage an hour before bed could dramatically improve your sleep quality. And then also one last thing that we could put into this activities category is also food. So the timing of your food can also play a huge role in your sleep, because when you eat, your body has to allocate some energy into actually digesting the food. And so when you eat a lot before bed, your body is still active, and it's actually becoming more active because it has to, well, put a lot of energy into your digestive system to actually digest the food, because otherwise you're just going to be sitting with a bunch of food that's not being digested. So your body has to attend to that, which also means that you will be more awake because your body is putting more energy into your digestive system. So what you can do is to try and delay food intake before bed as well. And so what I do is to try and cut off eating around 2 to 3 hours before my bedtime. That's just what has been working for me. But again, it just matters on you. And so with all of this being said, that is what I think are the 5 most effective ways on improving your health as an everyday person. Um, Obviously, like what I've been talking about throughout the video, we all live different lives. So you have to experiment with what works for you. This might be the amount of time that you spend getting light exposure. And Huberman also talks about how you want to at least get 10 to 30 minutes, but depending on you live, like you might be in the UK where it's always foggy, you will have to spend more time outside getting sunlight. But you might live in a place where it's more sunny, and so you don't have to spend that much time. So it just depends on you. It also depends on your actual sleep schedule. So maybe you have school or work in the morning. Maybe you have a night shift. Like you just have to find what works for you. But just so long as you take these pillars, light exposure, temperature regulation, caffeine usage, sleep schedule, and the activities that you do before bed, just as long as you keep these pillars in the back of your mind, you will improve your sleep. And that is it for this video. I hope you actually enjoy this style of video. I do kind of like this whiteboard setup. I just randomly found this in my house and I thought it would be cool to use for my videos. So I might start doing that from now on. It does make me feel a little bit more smarter. But anyways, that's it. Check out my second channel where I actually document my entire life. And if you want to see how I'm using all of these self-improvement, all of these science-based health advice, and actually applying it to my own life, if you want to see how I'm doing that in real life, as well as actually documenting my journey towards success, then check out my second channel. I'm going to document my entire journey from where I am right now. I am 18 right now. I just recently turned 18. So I am going to just keep like a record of my life and how I'm trying to get to the level of success that I want to be at. So if that interests you, check out my second channel, but also subscribe to this channel so you could be informed with this amazing smart content where I try to make it smart. Anyways, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about anymore. I'm hungry. But yeah, that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.